I'm Anna.
I'm Jessica,
And
and this is the Paranoia Pair.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Ah,
Who?
Werewolves of London. Do you get it? Do you get it? Ah, woo.
That's stupid.
I thought it was good. It made me laugh a little.
Woo.
I was just like, I gotta tell Jessica. Okay. Oh, also, Casey Anthony made her return.
I seen that.
Oh my god. And she's acting like she's the victim.
She's
like she
working in
didn't
like
kill
legal
her
stuff
daughter.
now or something.
Yes. And I think it's so funny because she tried like coming onto social media and like having a huge presence like a couple years ago, and she like got kicked off the internet basically.
She's really brave. I gotta say that because
Well, she's a narcissist, of course.
like I would not be able. That's crazy. How you can show your face after that? Like knowing you're one of the most hated people in America.
Yeah.
How you can show your face on like social media?
Yeah.
That blows
So
my mind.
I think I might be doing a Kaylee video or not video episode.
That's good because I always find that interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've heard it a lot, but it's just one of those ones you always want to listen to.
And next week I think I'm gonna do Jack the Ripper because I'm gonna do it like while it's still relevant. I love how it's just like I have all these topics and then I'm just like, hey, this is gonna take a back burner for like 3 months because this is more relevant right now.
Spoiler, Anna has like 27 episodes already pre-written.
It's only 6. Okay.
I typically don't write my episodes until the week of, and we record on Wednesday, so that's sad. The only way I'm effective in doing anything is if I wait till last minute and then I can do it. Because if I don't have like the anxiety pushing of, oh my God, I'm going to disappoint or I'm going to get a bad grade or something, like I can't do it. I can't do things of my own free will. I have to have an ulterior motive. Okay. Well, fuck you, Casey Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
So for my episode today, I wanted to do it on the Teke Teke. I heard about it years ago. There's a podcast called The Freaky Folklore, and they do a lot of that's also where I heard about the rake. I'm sorry, my one nose is runny.
Your one nose.
My one nostril is so runny. Anyways, it was on Freaky Folklore and it was creepy. I was scared of everything after I read it. Well, after I listened to it. Same with the rake, which I think I'm going to do an episode on that. But the Teke Teke comes from an old Japanese urban legend. The Teke Teke is an onryo, or a vengeful spirit. I hope I said that right. I don't think I did. Typically, onryos are spirits of women who met their demise by the hands of another or because of the actions of somebody else. There are 2 origin stories for the Teke Teke that I've read. And the first one is the one that I heard, like that I was familiar with, but in the other one I hadn't heard yet. So around the time of World War II, an office worker was assaulted by an American military personnel. Due to the grief of the situation, she jumped off a bridge and was hit by a train that ripped her body in half. Because of the extreme cold at the time, her blood vessels contracted, keeping her from bleeding out quickly. She pulled herself to the nearby train station where she was seen by the attendant who just laid a plastic tarp over her body, and she laid there in agony until she finally died.
Oh my God.
So you can see where she's pissed.
Yeah.
And the second origin story is of a schoolgirl who was being bullied. Her bullies were throwing rocks at her while she was on a bridge, causing her to lose her balance and fall off the bridge and onto the tracks below. That fall caused enough injuries for the girl to be unable to move off the tracks and was inevitably run over by a train, where her body was severed at the waist. She still didn't die from this. She crawled to find help, but when she came across others, they were so shocked by her appearance, they just ran away, leaving her to die alone. And that's why I like urban legends, especially from Japan, because they're always so scary, or like, I don't know.
They're always like brutal too.
Yeah, but like American urban legends are always kind of lame, like the Slender Man. There's nothing like, it's just scary. It doesn't have like
It
a
doesn't really
lesson.
have any backstory.
Yeah. And with this story, like one of the purposes of this urban legend was like, the way you treat people could come back to haunt you because, these people did horrible things to these people. And then so she came back as a spirit. And so it was kind of like the moral was to be careful how you treat others and, all that jazz.
Except we do love Mothman.
Except what?
We do love Mothman.
And Mothman, I do not think Mothman's a bad thing.
I love Mothman.
I don't think, I mean, there's probably stories out there, but he's like the doomsday weatherman. Like he tells you when it's going to happen, or like he kind of warns that something's going to happen, but like he doesn't like, he's not like Jeepers Creepers where he like pulls your eyes out of your head or something. So the unfortunate stories make it very clear why the Teke Teke turned into such a vengeful spirit. Not only was she hurt by another, but when she went for help, she was ignored and made to die a slow, agonizing death alone. The Teke Teke is said to haunt urban areas or train stations, her appearance being obviously very distinctive, only being her upper half, and she has long black hair that is unkempt, falling in her face. So very
grudge-like.
Yep, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Ugh.
Due to pulling herself by her hands and her arms, her fingernails like just wear down because of the friction.
Mm-hmm.
And I read on one article that she prayed to a god who gave her sharp claws in return to help her dig into the ground and pull herself. The name Teke Teke comes from the distinct noise she makes while crawling. And in English, I read that it translates to click clack.
Ew. I don't like that.
According to legend, 3 days after hearing this story, you will see the Teke Teke. She will try to catch you and escape as
We're gonna see it now?
So, see why I couldn't sleep? I had to take the trash out last night and I was so scared because I was like, it's dark out time. I live sort of near train tracks. Actually, no, I do live right by train tracks. They're unused, but that's not the point.
They're still there.
They're still there. And I was fucking terrified.
God.
But I'm holding out that this is just a Japanese thing. And here in America, we just have to deal with the Slender Man and the rake and the back rooms or any other urban legends. I don't know.
In Florida.
Florida.
Yeah.
Bloody Mary. So I'm hoping we're safe. We're safe here. But if her appearance and her way of moving does not scare you enough, she can crawl at speeds reaching 93 miles per hour.
What the fuck?
So you cannot outrun her, even in a car, unless your car goes really fast or something. I think my car would stop going. But that's 150 kilometers per hour if you use the others, the non-American system. I don't really know kilometers and all that jazz. If the Teke Teke finds you, she will ask you where her legs are, and if you do not answer the question right, she will cut you with her scythe at the waist. To survive, you must answer that her legs are at the Meishin Expressway between Osaka and Nagoya. So don't forget that, Anna.
I'm gonna write that down.
Just get it as a tattoo so it's always there to remind you. Some people believe that she is just searching for her legs, while others say she is simply out for revenge because nobody was there to help her and now she's taking her anger out on others.
What if I offer to help her find them?
I think she'll just take yours. I think she's too far angry. Like, I read something that when she died, her spirit was too angry to move on to the afterlife. So that's why she became the Teke Teke, because like she was just too pissed, which I understand. I kind of wish she didn't just go after everybody. At least go for bad people, like bullies. I did find a story on Reddit. There's not a lot of stories like of like quote unquote firsthand experiences or like, like horror stories of it happening. It's just the legend of it. But I found one on Reddit that I thought was worth reading because I don't know, it's creepy. Okay. So I do have a couple stories. The first one is from Our No Sleep. So I'm not saying I think this is a true story. I think it's just kind of like a fun Reddit story, but it kind of gets the point across of who Teke Teke is. So the title is Beware the Teke Teke. I recently took a trip to Japan to study abroad for a semester. While there, I made many friends who told me all about the history of this beautiful country in case I came back to visit. One thing to know about Japan is that its advanced technology and cutesy anime characters almost wholly cover up the horrors lurking in the shadows. Unfortunately, I had a painfully terrifying experience with said horrors, which is the whole point of this post.
Already believe the story's true.
Anyways, it was a Saturday night, and one of my friends and I went bar hopping from Kyoto to Osaka. Since it's only about a 25-minute train ride, we were all pretty tipsy, fumbling and stumbling around each bar. We'd gotten thrown out of two bars by that point, and we were about to get thrown out again. My friends were arguing with the security guards and other tipsy people, and the mood was killed. I hadn't sobered up, but was still courteous and apologized profusely, practically dragging my friends out of the bar. After all of that, I called them a taxi and went on my way. I had already spent so much money that night, so I decided to take a 20-minute walk back to my dorm. There were still a good amount of people walking the streets, so I felt a little more comfortable. Still stumbling around, I decided to take a shortcut through a nearby park. I know what you're all thinking. In horror movies, taking shortcuts almost always ends up with someone dying. However, it was freezing cold outside, and the path was the quickest way to my dorm. I walked through the park with my hands in my pockets, hunched over to protect my face from the cold air. Quick footsteps could be heard from behind me. Turning, I didn't see anyone. So I pressed forward. Immediately after I turned back around, the footsteps continued. It was as if a child was running around the park barefoot. I glanced around the area, but still nothing. I turned back around, and that's when my nightmares became my reality. There, lit up by the dim street poles, was a woman laying flat on her stomach, staring at me. From what I could see, the woman's hair was unkempt and all over the place. I squinted before shouting, "Hello?" The woman had no reaction, so I assumed she couldn't understand my drunken words. I tried my best to sound sober and repeated myself, "Hello? Why are you on the floor?" I took a step toward the woman, thinking she needed my help. The woman propped herself up on her hands, revealing the non existent lower half of her body. I slowly backed away, to which she moved closer. Something on the ground sparked next to the woman in the moonlight. I could barely make it out, but it looked like a Sith of some sort. The woman let out a husky sigh before speaking, "Where are my legs?" The woman looked around before fixing her gaze back on me. I had no clue what to say to the woman, so I just replied, "I don't know." She tilted her head at me and inched closer. "Do you need your legs?" At that point, I was fully sober. Thoughts ran circles in my head as I contemplated what to say next. I wondered what my friends were doing, if they made it home safely, or if they were having the same encounter as I was. I snapped out of my thoughts when I realized the woman was no longer under the street poles. After some time of looking around for the woman, I felt a slight stinging pain in my thigh. I peered down, and she was there staring at me. Blood seeped from my leg and dripped onto the woman's face. Analyzing the woman, I noticed that she seemed to be a teenager as she wore a school uniform. In her hand was the Sith from earlier. I put two and two together and realized that she had just cut me. Her face was riddled with bruises and dirt, and her eyes were big and doll-like. Do you need your legs?" Her voice sounded aggravated. "What kind of question is that?" I cautiously eyed the young woman as a smirk grew across her face. Within seconds, she raised her scythe in the air and slashed my legs. I immediately started sprinting for my life as loud pattering sounds grew closer and closer to me. Exiting the park, I turned a sharp corner, hoping to distance myself from the girl. The little path took me back onto the main streets of Osaka, but it was completely dead. Nobody was on the roads like previously, and all the surrounding billboards and lights were off. I glanced behind me, only to see the girl using her hands to get closer to me. My leg ached as I grew more tired. As I continued, I recognized the area, and soon enough, my campus was in sight. I managed to throw myself at the door, shattering it into pieces. I screamed, hoping anyone would come out and help. The girl was still a ways away from me, so I took the chance to use the elevator. Pressing the button, I grew more and more impatient. When the door opened, I saw my dorm mate staring out at me in confusion. "I thought you were going out." I shoved her and got in the elevator, pressing all of the buttons. She glanced around until her eyes fell on the girl, who smirked back at her as the doors closed. At this point, the adrenaline had died, and I collapsed into my friend's arms. I sobbed into her shoulder as her grip on me tightened. Who the hell was that, and why was she missing her legs? My breathing hitched as the elevator stopped on the highest floor. We got out and met up with the floor assistant, who guided us to the infirmary to wrap the wounds on my body. I recounted my encounter with the girl to everyone in the room. "You've met the Teke Teke," the assistant said in a soft voice. Supposedly, the young schoolgirl had fallen onto a railway line where her body was cut in half by an oncoming train. It's told that she wanders around the cities in search of her legs and will approach people. She'll ask them questions about her legs, and depending on their answers, she'll either leave them alone or chase them, cut them in half, and take their legs. I learned that I was one of the few people that managed to escape from her. I have since left Japan and returned back to my hometown with my family. My mind to this day can't process what I've experienced, and not many people believe me when I told them. I know what I saw, and I have scars to prove it. You can choose to believe it or not, but I just wanted to put this out there in hopes that someone else has had a similar encounter.
Horrifying.
It's like something running at you is scary enough, but like, I don't know, something crawling at you at high
Yes.
speeds is so much scarier. Oh my god. I think I would just diarrhea myself to death right on the spot. Like I would not survive that.
Someone get her a wheelchair.
Yeah. Then now I imagined her as that old lady on SpongeBob. Chocolate.
Chocolate. What are they selling?
Chocolate. And then there was another one, and this one apparently is like the New Zealand version of it. It says the title is "Who Remembers the Click Click Slide Clickety Clack." I
I
remember.
don't. That sounds like a dance.
I was thinking, and then slide to the left, slide to the right.
Click clack this time.
I remember this urban legend scaring me when I was in primary school in 2006. It sounds so silly now, but I still love it. For those who don't know, the story goes a woman's car was hit by a truck, but all the police found was her legs. People started to talk about a legless lady dragging herself around with her long, sharp nails. Once children started going missing in the nearby town, a curfew was enforced. A little girl was running late to get home when she started to hear a strange noise. Click, click, slide. Click, click, slide. Looking back, she didn't see anything but picked up her pace. Click, click, slide. Click, click, slide. Click, click, slide. It was getting faster. Finally, she reached her home. The door was locked. Her mother was asleep inside, having forgotten to unlock the door to her. Click, click, slide. The mother woke up the next morning, realizing she had forgotten to open the door for her daughter. She ran downstairs and swung it open. She screamed in horror. The welcome mat was stained with blood, and a dark red smear trailed back to the street. Her body was never found.
Ew. She took her legs.
Yeah, and I read that
What is she doing with all these people's legs?
that's what I was wanting to know, because I read that some people think some people say that she just takes your legs
Mhm.
and you're going to die at that point. Or I read something that said that when she gets you, you turn into a Teke Teke and you become like even more bloodthirsty than she was as you're going searching for other people's legs,
Mm,
trying to find like what you had also lost. But that would imply there's probably a lot of Teke Tekes.
yeah.
Um, but still no thank you. And then the last thing I have, I seen this in a few places. Um, it's also on Reddit. It was the legend of the Teke Teke starts with a young schoolboy walking home by himself during the nighttime. What seemed like a wise act in an area where possessed umbrellas regularly come to
Possessed umbrellas?
yeah, like I was the possessed wacky wavy inflatable arm tubeman next. Um, but what seemed like a wise act in an area where possessed umbrellas regularly come to life and try to impale you. On his way, he caught a sight of a quiet young girl peeking up out of a second floor window. The boy pondered why the girl ended up there all alone because the construction was part of a famous all boys school. Resting her head on her elbows, the girl locked eyes and the two shared a smile. Then she launched herself out the window, revealing that her lower body was missing, chased the boy down, and severed him in half. And here's a picture if you wanted to.
Okay.
So,
Thanks. Thanks for sharing that.
so you see why I've been having trouble sleeping.
Mhm.
Why definitely make sure your husband takes the trash out.
Yeah. It's like The Grudge, but cut in half,
Yes, and
if you were wondering.
I was already terrified of the Grudge before this. Like I've been terrified of the Grudge my entire life. Japanese horror is unmatched. Honestly, it's like some of the most terrifying stuff. Okay. So yeah, no, I first heard about the Teke Teke on a podcast and it's haunted me ever since, even though I've never been to Japan and I will probably never go to Japan. But now I'm scared of train tracks too. Also, there are ways to protect yourself from the Teke Teke. You can get at Shinto temples, you can find charms that are like little bags, and inside the bags have a prayer. And you carry them around on your person, or you leave them in your bag or your car, wherever feels nice to you. And it's supposed to help protect you from vengeful spirit, well, from negativity and it gives you luck and protection. And we don't have any of those around here, so we're kind of SOL.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my that's the Teke Teke, and it scares me.
And now I'm scared. Oh, apparently, the only way to escape death is to answer her questions exactly right. She asks if you will need your legs. You have to reply, I need them right now.
There's also another version, um like another like alternative version where she's in the bathroom, like public bathrooms,
What?
and gets you there and asks you a series of questions.
She
And
really traps you, make sure you can't leave. You're in the middle of
like,
shitting.
you've got diarrhea, and she's like, you need those legs of yours, and you have to answer the questions right, or else, there's another one I heard, but I don't remember what this one was, and it was another Japanese urban legend about another ghost who got you in the toilet. And basically, if you go to Japan, don't use public toilets because it sounds really scary.
I have a hard time using public toilets in America.
Fair enough. I'm gonna see if I can find it. But it was another one of, it was a scarier ghost. It was like a man and like a big one. And he would ask you like something like red or blue when you're on the toilet, and if you didn't answer right, he would like kill you or something.
What the
Or
fuck?
like there would be like different ways he would kill you based off of your answer.
What?
Hang on. There's another toilet ghost called the Akamanto, um, who most stories follow this general pattern. While at school late in the evening, a student suddenly finds himself in desperate need of a toilet. The closest restroom available is one that is normally avoided by the students. It is older and less well kept, separated from the rest of the school, and is rumored to be haunted. But with no time to search for different restrooms, the student enters. He or she does their business, and when they have finished, they reach for the toilet paper only to find that there is none, which honestly, terrifying. Um, then they hear a strange voice. Do you want red paper or blue paper? The student answers red paper, and a moment later is stabbed and sliced up so violently that blood sprays everywhere, soaking their body and making it look as if they were wearing a bright red cloak. Sometime later, another student finds him or her in need of a toilet in a similar situation. They know the rumors that a student died in the restroom, but they have no choice and use the bathroom anyways. Surely enough, a voice asks them, red paper or blue paper? Remembering the legend, the student says blue paper. Then all the students' blood is sucked out of their body, leaving them blue and dead and blue in the face.
So there's no right answer.
No, I don't think there's a right answer. I think you die regardless. Also, I think it's kind of fun. There's a website, yokai.com. It's one of my sources,
Mhm.
and it has literally all like A through Z of Japanese urban legends. Um, I only know a few, but I mean they're pretty interesting.
Why is Japan so good at making scary things?
I don't
It
know.
needs to be studied.
I don't know, but I know that like a lot of the urban legends were like ways to teach kids to like listen to adults,
Yeah.
and all that. But yeah, I'd definitely be listening if this is American kids need to grow up on these scary stories.
Bring back the original Grimm Brothers stories.
I have that book, and
The
I'm
original one?
yeah, and I'm debating when my baby gets older into like a kid age, like reading those stories with her because it works in Germany. Anyways, so don't use toilets in Japan. Um,
Also, be very careful of using toilets in America, but for other reasons.
like stinky people.
Like diarrhea on the floor.
Yes. Did I tell you the Terry at our Walmart told me about an old man who had poop dripping out of his pant leg
Yes!
and didn't even realize it? Thanks for listening.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and also Facebook at Paranoia Pair Pod, and that is all one word. And we will see you next Friday.
Stay spooky.
Bye.
I'm going to try to say stay spooky in a different voice every time.